It's my new frog tank. So they're currently in a smaller one, so I'm going to upgrade them to like a 6x6 inch bigger version.
It's really weird how much I find myself gravitating towards rye over bourbon now. This is really good. This is delicious. 112 proof though, so it'll burn the hair off you a little bit. Whoa.
You are listening to an A24 on the Rocks A24 vibe discussion. Yep, that's my radio jockey intro. My name's Kelly. I'm your host this time. And what we do here is talk about movies that aren't an A24 movie exactly, but as the title suggests, have vibes that kind of put it in the universe. And that's up for you to agree with us or not. But this one I think's a perfect fit. It might be because I picked it. But I'm not the only one who's going to be talking about it with you all. I have 3 of my co-hosts and good friends joining me that are also on all the other episodes where we discuss all of these movies. So I'm going to introduce them as well. They're going to introduce themselves. Eric?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Eric et je bois du whisky. Jefferson's Reserve.
Christ.
Or should I just say, Buongiorno?
Was that?
All right, here's Kevin.
Yes.
Arrivederci.
Oh, so
That's
good.
Italian, actually. Yeah.
That's Italian.
What you drinking, French man?
I
That's
said Jefferson's Reserve, but...
Oh, but did you say it in English?
Yeah, well, the French have to... If you say a title or name, you have to say it in English, if it's English, right? So, but yeah, I'm Jefferson's Reserve, very old batch, and it's nice, it's smooth. So, Kevin, what are you drinking?
Hello. Good evening, world. I'm not going to speak French because I can't, although I wish I could. Maybe I should learn it.
Can't either. I just did Google Translate.
Well, that's fair. I should look on Google. I'm drinking more Lion's Tail beer because that's what I do when I'm not drinking whiskey, and it's an Orangeberry Dream and Fruited Imperial Sour, 8%. Orangeberry Dream. Add orange juice, best beer mostly ever had. Oh wait, you know that already because I had it on another episode, and here we are having full circle again. God damn it, parody. Anyway, Cole, hi. What you drinking?
Hey guys, it's Cole William Whitlaw Gibson, resident Canadian living up in Alaska. Quebec is definitely the worst province, but I digress. I'm trying to go as French as possible, so I'm drinking some cognac. I am not a cognac man. I've had this bottle for many, many years, and I'm going to try it again. And we'll see how it goes.
A24 making you drink the dusty bottle.
I would say Alberta is the worst province.
Whoa, you leave
All right,
Alberta
separate from
out
all
of
the
this.
Canadian discussion, let's just remove all that. Anyways, coming back to me, the woman in this situation, the lady on fire, one might say. I'm drinking a Jefferson's Reserve as well, but what I did is chop up a bunch of cherries and put them on a skewer and throw it inside. So if that makes it a cocktail, then you tell me.
Absolutely.
With one rock.
It's the strongest, whiskey sour imaginable.
Wait, once it gets past 4 cherries, it becomes a cocktail.
That's
Yeah.
right. A24 vibe discussion. All right, everybody. So this movie, as previously mentioned, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. This was my suggestion to bring to the table. I'll tell you a little bit about the movie, and then I'll tell you why I did bring it to the table. So, released in 2019, this movie is set in late 18th century and follows the intense but beautifully restrained romance between a young painter, Marianne, and her subject, Heloise, who is soon to be married off in an arranged marriage. What unfolds is not just a love story, but a profound exploration of memory, art, and the unspoken connections between people. Portrait of a Lady on Fire has been praised for its meticulous attention to detail, its emotional depth, and its revolutionary take on the female gaze in cinema. So pour yourself a drink, settle in, and let's get into what makes this film burn so brightly in the hearts of many, including myself. I finished this movie. I don't even know why I watched it. I think I turned it on because the picture of it on whatever streaming app it was on was intriguing enough. And I watched it having no idea what I was getting into, and I left torn up. And I said, I think that's the most romantic movie I've ever seen in my entire life. And my heart was full, and the world looked a little bit differently, and that was movie magic for me. It's when I take it away and I feel like I have to walk differently about the world afterwards. I was so enraptured by this movie that when Eric and I rewatched it to have this discussion, I forgot that the whole thing was in French.
Wow.
So, with this in mind, I know it wasn't Eric's first time watching it, so I'm going to come to you last, but was it your first time watching it, Cole?
Yeah, 100%. Had never heard of it, had no expectations going in. I just knew that you recommended it and we were going to watch it, and I found it on Hulu. I do not have ad-free Hulu, so I got bombarded with ads right off the bat, but it was quite the transition throughout the film of going from super romantic French to just getting blasted by Gain commercials or something. But otherwise, it was my first time. Good experience.
Lesbian scene and then cut to Viagra commercial.
So I, unlike Cole, elected to not watch the free version, and I paid the $3 on YouTube to watch it ad-free. So I didn't get bombarded with Tide.
Probably the better way.
Definitely.
Not gonna lie. Bit jarring.
But definitely first time for me. Had never seen it, heard of it, had no idea what I was getting myself into. In fact, as soon as it started, I had one of those moments where, with like Menashe, where it was going for a while. I'm like, do I have to turn subtitles on? Is there English at some point?
You didn't have subtitles at first?
No, same damn thing.
Again?
Like, I just
What
listened.
the fuck?
Just
Got
relax
it really
here. I was
fast.
watching
But
the
if you're
bad
watching
free
in the United
version.
States, it should automatically put subtitles on the French.
No, definitely did not. First 2 minutes or whatever was just straight French with nothing else, and then I went, all right, stop, pause, subtitles, came on, restarted it. The same exact
Can
thing that
listen
happened
to
with
you
Menashe.
through your phone, can pin down your exact location, but I can't just turn fucking English subtitles on for you knowing you're in the United States.
Yep.
That's weird.
Anyways, yeah.
To be
So
fair, I tried to see if there was English as an audio option.
Oh,
yeah,
Most
I thought about it. Like, is there an English dub? Is
You're
there a dub for this
dubs?
somewhere?
Hey,
Wow.
I think that would
These
be
guys are
a mockery of this
dub
movie.
I would have watched
I'm not
it.
normally
Cole,
a
I would have
dub
done it too.
listener.
I messaged Cole.
Anime.
This movie
I
needs to be
legitimately
French.
messaged Cole. I'm like, is this in French or am I too drunk? And he's like, you're not too drunk.
Yeah.
You thought
Okay.
you were drunk enough to just picture the whole movie in French when it wasn't?
Yeah, I mean,
You know-
or too drunk how to figure out how to switch it to a different language. I don't know. But
All right.
Good God.
Here's the thing about subtitle movies. I love anime. I love watching them. It takes like full attention, and especially a film that has such like deep dialogue, you really got to pay attention. Which I think it served itself well because it made me pay attention. But when I started the film, I was like, I gotta start. I'm like over here cooking dinner. I'm like trying to get stuff done. I'm trying to do some cleaning around the house while it's on the TV, and like 5 minutes into it, it's like there's no way. I like they've already said like I've missed 2 whole scenes and I have no idea what they're talking about or what's happening, and so that's why I switched. I was looking for the English because it's like, well, maybe I could just listen to it like a podcast on the side.
and I'll be
No,
completely
couldn't
honest.
do it.
See,
I watched it after.
I thought we
Go ahead.
discussed.
No, I was gonna say
Go ahead.
I'll be honest. I procrastinated on this, and I watched it coming home from a baseball
Same.
game where I was half in the bag, and I was like, "Oh no, French!" And I'm not
Yep.
in any. But I enjoyed it, and I watched the whole thing. I didn't cheat. That's all that matters.
This is making me think if I make a movie, I'm going to make it foreign, just so people have to pay full attention
that's
to it.
this is the
Because
lesson.
I'm going to put in
That's
the
the
effort.
lesson.
I was gonna say that's
Less people watch it though, but
that's
yeah.
that's the
yeah,
move.
but
If
the
you-
ones who do,
Yeah.
let's pay more attention, huh?
yeah.
Eric, this was not your first time watching this movie, right?
Second time. First time we watched it together. And yeah, I think that this film needs to be in French. It's like it is such a culturally French film.
French as
it's
fuck.
so romantic and it's even yeah, it is. It's even more romantic with the French language. And then yeah, I just pointed out to Kelly, like, just from the first couple scenes, when she strips naked and just sits bare-ass naked on the floor next to the fire, I'm just like, that's something only a French person would do, and I love it.
Smokes a pipe.
And then, smokes a pipe, and then she gets a gigantic block of cheese, starts cutting into it with, a knife, and then just immediately pours some wine. I'm like, this is so French, and I'm here for it.
I'm with it. I wish I was there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We've been to Paris before, and I'm not always into living the French lifestyle because sometimes, it feels a little too, well, as an American, this is ironic, but too hedonistic sometimes. But still, when I want to feel French, it can be really delightful sometimes.
That really is extremely ironic.
I love a giant charcuterie board.
If American is the comparison.
I love cheese.
Well, overdoing it on the wine and cheese, I guess. But I'm also vegan, so I don't eat cheese anymore anyway. So yeah.
Well, there is so much to say about this whole French aspect and the French culture to it, but it's also very much a timepiece. And in this case, it's the late 1700s, and it is an art movie in a way too, not just because our main character is a artist herself, but I feel like even those opening scenes and the deep blue hues of the water, it looks like a landscape piece from that time period as well. Regardless of the visuals, the first question that I did really want to ask was actually about the use of silence throughout this movie. I wanted to know if you guys kind of picked up on that, and I am going to throw it to you, Kevin, right away. How do you think about this movie? I know you're watching it, you're half in the bag, right? And then it's a very quiet movie. On top of being French, it's also very... there's not much sound, right? There's not much music that's used. How do you feel that they used that aspect of silence throughout the film?
Absolutely. I have been a big proponent of nature sounds in my life, whether it be ways to fall asleep to the sound of rain or the sound of waves, or whether it be just a way to meditate or to relax. And I thought that the use of not negative space, but the use of silence, but using nature, and especially the scenes on the ocean, were apparently apparent. Very apparent to me when they were using that strategy. You had nothing but the ocean and our two characters, and you just heard the rolling waves, and they really did a great job of kind of using that to take up the space. There was also several other moments in the film where I found myself asking that question, what are the characters thinking about? You think about that aspect of what a character is thinking when there's silence, when there's an absence of sound, when there's an absence of soundtrack. That's when you most want a character's thoughts and inner monologue to come out. So this movie did a great job of also making scenes linger for about 10 seconds longer than it might normally otherwise. So a scene might end, the dialogue might end, but it might just stop. And you might have the ending where it just is silence. And when I was watching it, I was thinking that is meant for the audience member to digest the scene that you were just watching. It's intentional in its implication or its implementation, because you have a big long dialogue and it gives you a theme, and then you sit and you wait and you're like, all right, 1, 2, 3, process, scene. And it was super intentional because they did it on multiple occasions, and it was always silent when they did it. So I think that between that and then the use of the ambient noise, whether it be nature or otherwise, they just did a really good job.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it on you too, because I'm going to go ahead and just discuss we're not going scene by scene. We're talking whole themes. When we do hear some music, we hear Four Seasons Vivaldi played on that little tiny organ, which is then again shown later in the film. Was the fact that there was so much contrast between the silence and that little aspect of music that we're given early on, how did that affect you? Was that impactful for you?
Absolutely. Because it was Vivaldi is why it was impactful for me, because it was something so recognizable. And when you play it on that tiny little keyboard and you just hear those little plunking notes, you're just like, wait, what? But it is very, very meaningful. And in the sense that when so much of the film, 90% of it is this quiet non-soundtrack moment. The moment you put in that noise, it's very much apparent, and the sound design was very good in that aspect. So impactful, well done, put in at the right moment, and I think the choices that they did for the sound was also really well done too. So
Definitely. Eric, I'm going to throw a big one to you right here early on as well. I talked about how this movie is kind of renowned for the fact that there's this aspect of the female gaze being shown. What to you did that mean? Did you kind of like pick that up? And how would this movie maybe look different if it was through a male gaze?
Well, I guess the male gaze means like there's a lot of objectification. And I don't think that this film, it's showing two women looking at each other longingly, lovingly, and not just objectifying each other immediately. And this is definitely shown through the cinematography. I think from the very first few scenes where, I mean, again, this is such a wonderful plot for a movie. You need to paint this person, and you have to do it without them knowing. And then those first few scenes, that camera is just following behind Heloise, and it's not showing her face. You're just your point of view as Marianne. You'd see her just trying to look at her, but not, achieving this. She is trying to remember her face, just trying to pin her face in memory, and the camera does such a good job of showing what that would be like by just giving you the point of view of Marianne. But also, I just feel like this film is such an intimate film, and all of the cinematography portrays that. And I guess like the female gaze, I would say it's more an intimate kind of gaze. It tries to stare into a person's soul in a way, as opposed to just looking at their body. Up to the idea that the first portrait was not good enough because it did not reflect Heloise's soul. In fact, it was just a copy of the previous painter's portrait. She literally burned the previous painter's portrait because she knew that that first painting was almost identical to the last one. And then she was like, I'm going to paint you like the way you truly are, and I'm going to show your soul through this. And that is, I think, what the female gaze kind of is. It's gazing into a person's soul and like these intimate details of a person's life.
why do you suppose she kept her in green? If she really wanted to depart from the previous painter's viewpoint or muse so much
there
so
was
as
no
to
other
burn
dress
it.
there, right?
Yeah, that was the only
there's
dress.
a practicality aspect
Yeah.
and I think a composition aspect. Green looks great on blondes, just on that aspect alone, but also our housekeeper character as well says this is the only gown that's like in the
Sophie.
house.
Never mind,
Yeah.
I missed that detail. That's
Yeah,
why
she
we're
says
here.
only gown in the house, and yeah, like also this does need to be a portrait shown to the Countess and her future husband. So, you can't just have her nude there, there has to be a dress.
Okay, so Eric, you already mentioned fire and the use of it to kind of burn down the old painting that didn't really work. Cole, I want to talk about not only is fire used in that scene, it's also pretty prominent in the title of the movie. Mm-hmm. It's a symbol throughout this movie. What do you think that it might mean? No wrong answers.
Oh man, I feel like I'm going to give a wrong answer now. No, I think
there isn't.
I think like
Could happen.
I think the fire represents things that are hot, and she was really attracted. No,
Male
The
gaze.
male gaze returns.
no. I think the use of fire kind of is used as almost showing, in a way, their passion, and Heloise as like her character and like her internal passion, and also the scene where she catches herself on fire and acknowledges it but doesn't acknowledge it and just continues to stare longingly at our painter, who I can't remember.
Marianne.
Or she just like stares longingly, and I think she kind of I don't know, it's I don't know how to, I guess, describe it. It's just very powerful and impactful, just fire in general is always like in any type of film always comes across and is always like super saturated and mutes out everything behind it. And in that scene especially, it's like in the darkness at night, and she is like lit up in front of the fire, behind the fire, and it kind of shows her, and then as she sidesteps the fire follows her, and so does the scene, and so does the, I guess, her gaze and the passion and everything along with it was kind of how I felt. And then obviously that is the painting that starts the whole story from the get-go, is her painting that scene of the portrait of the lady on fire. And I think it's obviously of her and her eternal love and passion and just all the feelings that she has for her, but she can't express them, she can never relive that, right? Because the countess she's being married off and has to go fulfill her duty and everything like that. So I guess that's my general takeaway of the fire and how I felt.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I'm not here to say yes or no. It's just, I very much agree with you. I would only add that of all the elements, fire when it's out, there's not many like remnants of a fire that remains anymore. It burns hot and then it goes out. I think that would be the only thing that I would add, and I'm sure that there's many more symbols behind it. But you mentioned the fact that, it is kind of a forbidden kind of love. It is one that's like maybe not supposed to be. Maybe we want to put out a fire when we see it. So, Kevin, I'm going to throw this to you. How does the aspect of forbidden love in this movie compare to, I don't know, any other kind of movies, maybe in the LGBTQ plus IA scene? The fact that it is forbidden and it is in this time setting, and they do have kind of isolated areas. Can you maybe talk on that?
Do we think Ginger and Rosa had a sexual element to it, or was it more friendship? I'm trying to remember when we watched back that for forever ago.
My dad that movie was Christina Hendricks.
Having sex with a 17-year-old. So yeah, there was.
They were more
I
friends.
forgot about that.
There wasn't a sexual tension there.
I guess in A24 world,
Moonlight.
other than Moonlight,
Moonlight.
have we seen many other non-straight couples?
Well, we did review Baby Reindeer, which had like the
Yes,
and I mean
some
like
of that.
future A24 films. Not as much forbidden love, but there's LGBTQ plus themes in I Saw the TV Glow, which just came out.
Yeah. There's also Euphoria, which is A24.
I'll alter my question for you, Kevin. In my opinion, I find a forbidden love in a movie maybe to be more romantic than one that just falls in like a rom-com. Do you agree or disagree? And how do you think they did it with this movie?
I agree with you. I think that anytime you have hurdles in a love story, it makes the love feel stronger. Anytime they have to get over something or someone trying to prevent them, whether it be an external force or a character or a plot device or something that derails them, especially if there's multiple times in doing so, I think that endears you to that couple in general. And you certainly want to see them succeed and end up being happily ever after, which is part of any love story. How this particular film falls into that linear line is there are moments where you feel like there might be success in their love story or there might be some sort of happy ending. But honestly, when you hear the idea that there's only 5 days until the mistress comes back, and you know that there's only 5 days for this love to be as wild and as explosive as it is, you almost know that inevitably it's going to end. And I think they do that intentionally, especially when they end it early and they make the whole effort. They definitely do some hurdles, but I'm not sure if the ending or if the way that they resolve it follows into that idea that everyone is going to be happy and wonderful. So I enjoyed the way that they did it. It made it apparent that it was something that they wanted to be viewer-centric. Like you wanted the viewer to make a decision how they were going to embrace that. So just well done, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Eric?
Yeah, I think Forbidden Love, it immediately puts a time limit on it. And so it like ramps up passion so that you have to fit all of this love and passion into a much smaller time frame and you can't ever think about we could do this for the rest of our life. And I think that is definitely evident in this film. It's like we have 5 days. We are living in 1700s France. We're sequestered to these roles that we play in our life. And just for these 5 days, we can be together, and we can never be together after that. So I think it just like ramps up the passion. I guess the forbidden aspect of it just, it's like they're living a fairy tale in a way. It can't be brought into public life, and they're able to live this only now and never again.
Right, and the only way that you could ever capture it in any sort of moment is with a portrait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not even so much, so there's like this whole thing of historical context and modern themes, and it's not even so much that people would fathom that there is a romantic relationship between these two women characters outside of the people that are in that household, Sophie included. I think Sophie's in the know. But it's not even so much that. It's the fact that Heloise has to go away to this arranged marriage. It's the fact that everyone has roles to play. Nobody's, like, in their business at all in that way. So, Cole, I'm going to throw it to you. There is that historical context, and then there's these kind of, like, modern themes. So when it comes to, like, this forbidden aspect as well, do you think that Mom would care if she even knew what these two were up to on those 5 days that she was away?
You don't get too much out of the mom, but I don't think she'd be that upset, especially coming from, like, I feel like the French or, like, European aspect of, like, openness and general sexuality is a lot longer than maybe, you know, the American side of things. It's been much more open and, like, accepting of that things, but I think the mother would still have the expectation that she's gonna, like, her daughter's getting married off, and you have to, like, you can have your fun and, like, you know, you had your fun with your friend, but you know, we had to get this painting done, and you have an expectation to marry this man, and you're gonna fulfill your duty as, you know, the wife and the mother to the future mother to his children, right? So I don't think she would have been super upset. I feel like the mother was, for the most part, pretty chill, as the kids say these days. I think...
Yeah, she just wants her daughter married so that she can head out to Milan as well, right?
Yeah, you know, she wants to go hang out. She hasn't been there in years, but she loves it out there, and she wants to go back. So I think she may have been, like, a little frustrated. She would have been pissed off if the daughter tried to get out of the marriage, but the fact that the daughter didn't, I think she would have been fine with, you know, hey, you know, you gotta have fun, you know, and she probably would have had a fun anecdote about when she was in college and with her roommates.
When she got her portrait painted.
Or in the nuns' convent. You never know.
Yes,
Yep,
as well.
there you go.
And I think that that's an aspect to this movie as well, is what happens when women all get together. And not that I'm suggesting it's
Bunch
always
of witches,
sexual.
you know?
Or does that happen? Eric, I know for a fact that when they all got around that fire, that you had thoughts about it.
Yeah, well, I was saying there
So tell me,
there was
what
like
did
a
you
witchy
think?
vibe to it, and I loved it. Like, they all started singing together. The fire was... The cinematography, again, was just so good. Like, it was all dark outside of the fire, but then everybody focused on the fire and all these women surrounding it. And then, obviously, we also see in that scene that Heloise gets lit on fire and doesn't even notice it, too. Yeah, it does give this kind of feeling of, like, witchiness, but also I think that's just another word for, like, female empowerment. Like, these
100%.
women are... It's a show of what they can accomplish when they, like, all get together and have each other's backs in a way. And, like, obviously in that same scene, they talk to the woman who ends up giving Sophie the abortion, too. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of, like, solidarity between all these women and how powerful that feels, which is, yeah, really cool to see, like, portrayed this way in film, too. And then also I want to, you know, this film also, like, even though it's, like, I agree with Cole, it's 1700s France, people probably did, you know, the mother, the Countess, probably would have been okay with her daughter experimenting, but this film also shows so much about class and, like, the roles that women are sequestered to due to these class concepts, and how it makes women feel so trapped. And especially back then, it's like giving you this a peek into a time period where women were just expected to be become wives, or they could become nuns, and that was it. They don't have any options. And then you have, Marianne, who's a painter, and she seems more free, but is she really more free? We don't really know, because
she is a anomaly kind of in that world as well. And Heloise says as much. Like, she has a choice.
Yeah, but male painters don't take her seriously. And she says, even she is
paints under her dad's
sequestered to a certain role as a female painter. So.
And she's doing something historically at that time, which is kind of unheard of, which is painting from memory. That was not something that was like seen at all during that time. In fact, it was kind of looked down upon. It's something that she obviously mastered, because not only does she say to the fact that she's not allowed to look at a male nude form to paint because she is a woman, so she just observes in private. She also does it for her subject of this film, and she does it when she paints the portrait later. But Cole, you have something to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the scene with all the women around the fire where they're singing and stuff. They apparently are singing a Latin phrase that just says, they're just repeating it over and over, that just says, "I cannot escape," which makes it even like more like powerful and kind of crazy, where, Eric, you literally basically were saying that they, that exactly what they're saying, but they're singing it, but it comes across so beautiful and eloquent during that scene where you're just like, man, this is amazing. They're having a moment, but the reality, they're singing about how they can't escape and they are trapped because they are women in this society. So
Yep. So I watched this movie from a woman's perspective, of course, but I do want to ask a fella, Kevin, did you notice the absence of men in this movie? Was it apparent to you, or did you even think a second thought about it?
I didn't have a second thought about it while watching, meaning that the characters were ingrained and I didn't pay attention to it during the actual viewing, and it wasn't till afterwards, when looking at reviews and discusses and things like that, that I started thinking about, holy shit, you're right. There wasn't a man in that majority of the film. I think there was, one example, I want to say, or something like that.
Just a couple. Yeah. And when there is one in the kitchen, too, it's like a jump scare to me. I was like, whoa, when did he get here?
That startled me. And
it was. Yeah, right, exactly. The next morning when they wake up and like, what are you doing here? And they made a really good job of making
that I hadn't seen a dude for a long time was when that guy showed up.
They made a good job of making him feel foreign. So I will say that, like, when he came up, I was like, oh, what are you doing? Exactly, same thing.
Is it like, well, is it also insinuated that he's the one that got Sophie pregnant? That's kind of what I took from him being the only man in the film, too. He was just a vehicle to show Sophie, and her decision to get an abortion, too. So, like, what other men would be at the house, I guess?
It seems like they kind of come and go. They're like servants. Yeah. It seems like the mom, maybe the dad has passed. That's why she's marrying off her daughters, so that she has a place to live, because that's the world that she lives in as well. And yes, she has this very undecorated, empty palace in the meantime, but needs to get out of there. Seems like the men just kind of come and go in order to move furniture and to get them traveling from one place to the other. But when they come in, they move as if they own the place, right? Like they sit right at the table. So I like that there is ambiguity into who would be the one who got Sophie pregnant. And I think that we should touch on the fact that there is an abortion scene. Eric, what did you think of that, and what do you think about the fact that they later decided to paint it, and it was Heloise's decision?
It just amazing, especially the fact that it was her getting an abortion next to little kids, and it shows like how difficult that choice obviously is, but how it was just best for that person involved. The way they painted it later, I think, just a beautiful like portrayal of, I don't know, just this very, very heart-wrenching moment in a woman's life. Also, again, the forbidden aspect of it. She has to paint it on a little like sketch pad, and she can't ever show anybody. And so it's like all these little unsaid things that we look into that woman carried back in the day that weren't talked about, but they just happened. And I mean, that's so much part of this film is just like looking at a portrait painting, drawing, and then like not knowing all of the other things that could have happened in that person's life, which later we see with, obviously Heloise too. But yeah, that abortion scene though was so well done, and the intimacy of the cinematography really brought it home for me. So I really loved it.
Yeah, and Heloise, I think, is a very good character. And Cole, I'm gonna ask you a question after this short diatribe, so prepare yourself now. I really liked how fiery she was, how passionate she was. The fact that she hears something upsetting and she's like, I guess I'm just gonna go bathe now. The fact that her sister flung herself off and now she's doomed to the same fate that sent her sister to her doom. She also, I think in that appearance that Eric kind of talked about, where Marianne is following her and we have her point of view, it's kind of reminiscent of like an Alfred Hitchcock Blonde, kind of Vertigo-esque by the San Francisco Bridge or Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
In Vertigo, yeah. I just find all that fascinating. I think that she's a really good character. Cole, what did you think of Heloise?
So I think Heloise is almost, she starts off as like an enigma, and she's very distant, and obviously her mother hires a painter to secretly paint a portrait of her because she is, it didn't go well the last time, and everything else that she's dealing with. And the actress that played her does like a fantastic job showing kind of her progression of her slowly opening up, but then also not showing a whole lot. And the cinematography even goes along with that, where he's talked about where at the start it's a lot of just like kind of lower shots, a lot of like moving camera, and you're not seeing a lot of her, and you're just getting bits and pieces as they're slowly piecing together who this woman is, like what her story is and where she comes from. But then that moment where those two, connect for the first time and it like opens up. I think one of my favorite scenes was, I would say, the first time after they consummate their love and she's trying to paint Heloise and she just keeps smiling. And it's like, it's just like full of happiness and hope and love and everything, and something that you've never seen out of her. And, earlier in the film, they're talking about, she can't paint her smiling. She's just always serious. She's always got this aura around her of just, I wouldn't say like darkness, but just like very professional almost, and like just
anger, I think.
Yeah, like anger, and like she's doing her duty because she wants to do good by her mom, but it's not what she wants to do. It's not who she is, but she's gonna fulfill it. And then something like opens up and unlocks in those 5 days, and she kind of transitions into this. You kind of see who her true, I guess, soul or version is when she's with someone that she feels safe and things like that. I thought that was very powerful and very well done, and her character arc is fantastic for a 2-hour film to go from someone that you have no idea to seeing her transition to her kind of reaching like her peak happiness, but then also coming to the realization that she still has a duty to do and she's going to do it. It's not I think this is one thing that this film does that's fantastic, is it's not a happily ever after story, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like the princess and she finds her white knight and they ride off and they're happy and everything's great. It's, two people that met each other at, I think, the perfect time that, they needed each other, and they fell in love, and they spent, had the best time together that they could have, but knowing that it was all gonna end, and they didn't want it to end, but that's the way life goes sometimes. Sometimes you meet people at inopportune times, in the passing ships in the sea type thing. And but yeah, they just fantastic writing. I joked about it being in French and trying to follow the dialogue, but it's one of those movies that it does a fantastic job with it. And I do agree that I think if I put it in English and listened to it dubbed, it would be really comical versus I think some of the passion and some of the scenes where the two women and the way they talk to each other interact. If you're not, even as a person that doesn't speak French, you still get the feeling of it, right? And and I also learned that the word silhouette is French for outline. So we're all learning things. So
an art history lesson as well. But that is for the Greek tragedy that they talk about when they're all like sitting around. They like read that book with like such fervor that it's like cool. As if cool they're scene. Watching a movie. I think that is cool. And then they choose the poet's ending, right? The fact that they know that there's an ending and you get to choose how it ends instead of it becoming a let's desperately grasp onto this romance forever. They choose to end it the way that they're going to end it. Kevin? Yep. What drug did Heloise bring back that they rubbed in their armpits?
Their armpits.
You know, I'm not sure.
I was not prepared for that. Was how they were going to do the drugs.
Mushrooms of some sort. Definitely a powerful hallucinogen, no doubt about it. I think back to like poison frogs and weird things in the Amazon.
I thought it was just pot. I thought she was going to whip out some pot and they were about to smoke down.
No, you need something she's transdermal.
Rubbing it
something
off.
Transdermal, which has got to be some pretty strong shit just to rub that on you. So we're going to go with a powerful hallucinogen, ayahuasca. Maybe that.
I like it.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, maybe.
And Eric, this will be the last question before I ask you all what your favorite scene is. So start cooking that one up. But Eric, the fact that movie, which is art, is about art and it's about painting, right? And I think a big part of what this movie is about is can you capture the essence of a person in your art? What do you think about that question in general? Does that strike anything for you? And because you had mentioned the fact that they burn the first painting because it's just a copy. So what is it about the second one that she's able to paint it better and is happier with it? And do you think that tells a tale maybe in filmmaking?
I think that art, this is just a more general thing, but art is subjective, and when you put it out into the world, it will mean something different for everybody. But when Marianne looks at that painting, she will, of course, remember the essence of Heloise and everything that came with it, their forbidden love, and it will bring back tons of memories. But when a random person looks at it, like how if we go to the DIA tomorrow and we look at all these portraits and paintings there, we're not going to get the actual essence of everybody that we see in those paintings. You can maybe get a little glimpse into a person's life, and you can look at a painting or a portrait and just be like, I think I know this, what this person might have been like a little bit, but you'll never get the full picture. And I think that's really what portraits and paintings do, is they offer a glimpse into a person's life, but it never will capture a whole person. But then obviously for the painter, it means something completely different because they'll remember what was happening when they painted them, what they thought about the person, and everything thenceforth. So, I do think that that's the difference there, though, is the painter versus the person that just looks at the portrait. And I think that is portrayed very well in here because, later we see the portrait of Heloise with her child, but the book's open to page 28. And if we looked at that today, we'd be like, page 28, wonder what that means. But then Marianne looks at it and she's like, I know exactly what that means. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it made me think about, so we had gone to the Detroit Institute of Arts when we were looking at some portraits, and I was like, there was literally someone who just stared at somebody else for hours and put that together. And that's such intimacy, and that doesn't happen anymore. Like in that, I mean, it does, but not in that same way. It just like kind of puts it in perspective when you do look at a piece of art that's quote unquote completed in the end. There's so much going on behind it. And you're so right, Eric, that like what they know about it isn't anything close to what we're going to ever know about it. And I like that subjectivity. And I think that that's true for movies as well. You probably finish a movie and you'll never fully be able to express to the watcher everything that you wanted to put into it. And that's something I try to take into consideration with every movie that we watch as well. But I'm going to throw it immediately back to you. You took my favorite scene, so this is my revenge. My favorite scene in the movie is when she does see that new portrait of Heloise opened to that page. My second favorite, though, is when she catches her the second time, and that's her going to see Vivaldi performed live in an orchestra, which she hadn't seen before. And we just have a really long shot of her going through all these waves of emotion, like the sadness of the loss of the relationship, but also happiness that it even happened, and all that to this amazing score, which is fully fleshed out and so different from the rest of the movie because it is finally fully fleshed out. But Eric, is there a scene to you that you really walked away from hell yeah?
I'd say from a cinematic standpoint, it might be the fire scene. That was my favorite cinematic scene of the whole film. But then, from an emotional standpoint, it is the ending. Seeing the page 28, I think that was just I saw that, I was just oh my, it says so much, just how these two will always remember for the rest of their life this forbidden love they have, and it will make them. It will help them go on for the rest of their life too. They will know I lived this, and I lived and loved, and I will always have this. And although my current life might not be as great as it was in those 5 days, at least I had those 5 days, and that's what I think. It really hits home emotionally to the viewer. So, yeah.
Definitely. And Kevin, for you, was there a favorite scene that you want to wax poetic on, or was there maybe something that you hated that you want to burn on fire? This is your chance to speak on it.
No, nothing comes to mind as something I hated, that's for sure. There was nothing that
I got a part that I hated.
That's fair.
All right, Cole.
I will say the abortion scene itself felt a little we can show that without necessarily having that scene. Maybe that's my sensitivity to it. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. But other than that, the moments that were poetic, I suppose, were beautiful. Were those final embraces that they had before they knew it was all over. The last touch, for example, when they, the very last one was just absolutely fucking brutal. But even the ones before that, when they knew the last day when she was coming back, and those fleeting moments when they knew that the reality of their situation was setting in, it was just so well done that it made me heartbroken for them. And when a movie can make you feel like Kelly talks about, that's her thing, right? And we all now feel it too. And it really did a great job of making me that. So those fleeting moments, those I wish we could be this forever, but we can't because this is 17th century France, which is
18th
weird.
Century, yeah.
18th century. It's crazy to think about in a retrospective. So, yeah, that's pretty much my take on that.
Yeah. Cole, you can burn something on fire, but then I want to hear your favorite because I know you have one also.
Yeah. So I was going to do bad and then good. So bad is, I think the scene that Eric had as his favorite with the cinematography of her being lit on fire was great. Up until the part where they go to put the fire out, and I laughed because as they go to put the fire out, they touch her dress and then she just face plants immediately,
splats, yeah.
just dead weight, becomes a sack of potato and just falls to the ground. That I think was probably my elite, just that action of her falling.
The moment.
Yeah, she felt it felt very dramatic. It felt like she was just just oh my goodness, I'm gonna die, and just felt real fast. So that just
she says, "Please don't put my fire out."
That scene just kind of broke. It felt like it broke what was happening a little bit. So I think if they just put it out and she just kept standing, would have been perfectly fine. And then my favorite scene, I do love the scene where she, our painter, I can't remember her name, gives the hug to Heloise. Yeah, Marianne hugs her, but she hugs the mother. The mother gives the hand, and she pulls her in to hug her, which is definitely not of the norm, and you can tell that by the mom. But she does that strictly so she can hug, Heloise. And like when she does hug her, she it's just a split second of passion and just love of just like she's trying to soak it in as much as possible, just like real heart-wrenching. And then the other scene that I absolutely loved was again the scene where it's after they've been together, and she's going to paint her again, and she can't stop smiling, and she's just like filled with joy, and it's kind of that almost an emphatic or infectious joy of wherever dear listeners, if you ever do fall in love, kind of that initial feeling of almost like disbelief that someone like this that you care so much about or actually likes you back, and you have like a mutual feeling of that love and that like honeymoon phase. And I feel like they captured it so perfectly in that scene where it's just she can't help. It's almost like she feels like, it's in disbelief that this is happening, that she feels this much joy in something that she never thought she would feel. And she just can't help herself. And it was just like, I thought that was such a sweet, sweet moment in this film. So that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's so well said, Cole, too. Like that really is like, it encapsulates that feeling. And it really is like maybe the warmest feeling in the world. Yep. That's just the best. I just love that. I also love when they do kind of like confess that they do have feelings for each other, and it's not, oh, you've been dreaming of me. No, I thought of you. I didn't dream of you. I thought of you. And I was like, ooh, that's so much better. It's intentional. Yeah. Like, also, it's
dear listeners, if you are trying to fall in love with someone or trying to get someone to fall in love with you, watch this film and just like repeat some of the things back. Because
take notes for sure.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, all of my notes were not about the film. It was like, how can I come across as someone who has the riz, as the kids nowadays say?
How can I romance my lady based on this movie?
Get that riz.
Well, that's I just love it. I love it. I'm glad you got that out of it too. This movie it's all the warm tinglies. I really, really think that it's a very special movie, and I'm glad that you guys all watched it for this vibe discussion. It's also, I didn't realize until we just rewatched it, that it's a Neon production, which, we've been talking about how that's kind of the up-and-coming, or maybe even replacing what we knew A24 to be a little while ago.
Not replacing. No. They might have some.
We're gonna have to call ourselves A24/Neon on the Rocks.
I know. We're gonna have to have Neon discussions.
They've had a few good. I like Civil War. I wouldn't say it hits that classic like A24 feel, but I'm very excited for the front room with Brandy.
I thought Civil War was A24.
That's what I just said. I was saying like I liked
defending A24 against my Neon slander.
And Sing Sing, the Coleman Domingo movie that's coming out, that looks very good. So, yeah.
There's room for everybody in the movie world.
Yeah, there's no hate all around. It was just a surprise to me that it is a Neon film. I was like, that makes sense.
Also, when it came across, I was like, oh. So I took note of it as well.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap up and give us some ratings. I'm going to go first because I know you guys all know where I am, and listeners, you all know where I am too. If I'm going to call a movie the most romantic movie I've ever seen, I think that the rating's going to be pretty obvious, because as much as I like scary, as much as I like psychological thrillers and the disturbing, I am a big softie, and I love love, and I love feeling like I'm falling in love, and I love seeing people fall in love. There is like I don't think that this movie's overtly feminist, but it's unavoidable because of the fact that a lot of movies don't pass the Bechdel test, two women talking in a room, and it's not surrounding the discussion of a man. This movie has almost no men in a room. And I appreciate when that happens. So I wouldn't say that I'm a bleeding heart feminist at the end of the day. I love you guys too. but it is a refreshing take to
Be a
just
bleeding
have
heart feminist
a movie.
to love men. There's no.
It is. Yeah, I know. I'm being facetious, but I want it for you, the audience, to know there is nuance to feminism, in case you didn't. Anyways, this movie I don't think is overtly feminist, but there is just kind of, it's refreshing to kind of watch a movie with a lot of women that are interacting with each other, not just in a romantic way, but in a sisterhood. I really like that. I like the time setting. I studied art myself. The fact that that's a big topic in this movie is really to my interests. And back to, as I said, I love love. It's the most romantic movie. It is if it was on the 24 spectrum, it's a plus 24 from me. Easily. That's why I wanted everyone to see it. So I will throw it next to my love, Eric.
All right, well, I'm going to start out by saying this is the future the left wants. They want to be led by a bunch of French childless Catwoman, and I can't stand it. I'm just kidding. I love this. Yeah, I love this film, and yeah, it portrays love in such an intimate way. And like I said, it hits all the markers of great cinematography. The screenplay, we haven't talked much about that.
Of course.
There's certain things, like how I said this needs to be in French. When she talks about how the sister killed herself, Sophie says this. She says, like, she was behind me and vanished. I saw her broken body below. I'm like, that can only be said in French. I've never heard anybody say washed up corpse described as a broken body. And I'm like, that's, there's a romanticism to the writing of this film, too. It's written like a novel, and you feel it. And yeah, it's very intimate and everything so good. Between A or A+, this is where I was just talking about with Hereditary. This is a hard line for me to draw. I gotta say, I'm
something else about the broken body real quick.
What?
I want to touch on the broken body screenwriting aspect as well, because Sophie also says something that's really poignant when Marianne is kind of questioning Sophie about what did happen to the older sister, and Marianne's response to saying that she went off the cliff was, how do you know she did it herself? And she says she didn't yell out.
Yep.
And that's like just another really poetic way of describing a tragedy. And so screenwriting prompts.
And so what I'll say, maybe the difference between this and Hereditary is, I think I love horror, but the genre for this, there's a certain dramatic aspect to it that makes this film feel even larger, and like it has even more to say than Hereditary. And also the historical aspect of it. Hereditary has such great attention to detail. Sorry, I keep talking about that, but I'm trying to draw the line between A and A+. So, I think I'll give this an A+. I think this film is slightly better, just by the tiniest modicum better than Hereditary. And yeah, maybe it's just because I can rewatch this film and not be completely creeped out and crawling in my skin the whole time. But yeah, I really love this film, so A+ for me.
Cool. Eric, you get to decide who's it is thrown to
Kevin,
next.
how about you?
Can't you guys tell how aligned Eric and I are based on that? How sweet.
All right. So this film is not typically a film that I would normally enjoy. It's not one that I would seek out, and I certainly would not have watched it outside of this podcast. But I am thankful that I was given an opportunity to do so. Foreign language films are a very foreign thing to me in general. It's not something that I watch. I don't watch a lot of anime with Japanese language. I don't watch a lot of foreign language films in general. So it's an adjustment, regardless of the mind or the mentality that you are going into it. You have to appreciate it. But like Eric said, it couldn't have been in English. It had to have been in French. There's something about that language. The cliche is Paris is a city of love, and French and France and love and la la la. But it really is just romantic. There's something just so fluid and beautiful about the language, and it really led to this movie. That all of these big, poignant conversations were in such a beautiful language. And then, as an English speaker, watching those subtitles, you got to digest it and to translate it and put it into your own perspective, which was even cooler. So like I found myself thinking about my own romantic life and thinking about just, my relationships in general, and taking something where you see action on the screen, but the words aren't coming from those characters necessarily. So you're translating in your own head, leaves for a different viewing experience, which I thought was really unique and cool. We talk about a little bit when we watched Menashe in the A24 library when we reviewed that, and that was in Yiddish, and how you process a foreign language film, and it's different, obviously, much different. But in this one in particularly, there's just such a huge emotional burden that you're given when you watch it, that you have to kind of come out on the other side with. I enjoyed watching it. I do want to give it another take, maybe with another loved one, maybe with a more clear head and more intention going into it. But I do say that in general, I enjoyed it for sure. It's an A24 for me, if we're living on the 24. And it was definitely a good experience from start to finish. So, yeah.
Well, I guess I will go. I will start by saying that I like Kevin. If it wasn't for this podcast, I don't think I ever would have watched this movie. And if I did start this movie and I realized it was all going to be in French, there's a good chance that I probably wouldn't have watched it. Not saying that I don't watch movies with subtitles. Like I like Godzilla -1, Old Boy, and some of these other like Parasites. But a love movie in French
good choices, though.
is like a difficult one for me to sit down, especially over the 90-minute mark. Like there's a lot going against this film for me to go out and watch it without anyone suggesting it. But I will say that I am very happy that Kelly brought this to my attention, and I did like sit down and watch it and put my phone away and paid attention, because the dialogue and the interactions are definitely what sells it. And like those silent moments of them kind of staring longingly, or just like those long shots and stuff. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss some of those things, or you're going to miss the impact of those things, right? Like if you're sitting on your phone and there's nothing, you're not hearing anything, and you're just going to keep looking at your phone, scrolling through whatever, you're going to miss some of these pivotal moments that are just expressed through body language or through the cinematography and things. I can't remember if I've ever watched a French film, so I will say this might be, Les Mis I think is a French film, so I did watch that, so I've seen that. But this is definitely my favorite French film, and this might be my favorite romance film, and I think this film shows one of like the best portrayals of like the human emotion of two people kind of falling in love, in that forbidden love and the passion and everything else that goes along with it. And I like that it doesn't fall into the, happily ever after. Like it's a very realistic portrayal. It's set in the 18th century. Like, I feel like a lot of times when these movies are made, they run away and they're happily ever after. And they're just like, yay, we're going to be free forever. And it's like, that's not the reality that happens a lot of times. Like, Heloise is doing this for her mother, and if she runs away, her mother's, she loses everything, right? Like it's a kind of a twofold thing, and she's put into a very difficult situation, and you kind of go through that with her, and just in general, just the way that everything was written and portrayed is just so good. I will definitely recommend this to pretty much anyone. And, especially for people that don't like foreign films, I think this is one that would get people in the door on acknowledging some of these very impactful foreign films. It's not, again, like in my necessarily wheelhouse of ideal films, but I really do appreciate it a lot. So I give it an A24. It's not A+ for me, but I don't think I can say anything wrong with it or anything that I disliked besides the scene where she fell. Maybe that's the reason why I don't give it an A+24.
Last time it was the flies.
There's always
this.
something. Sometimes I can overlook it, sometimes I can't. I'm a complicated person that annoys a lot of people online, I'm sure. So
no, people love ya. Okay, well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching my special little movie.
Thank you for
discussing it with me. And thank you, audience, so much for listening. If you haven't seen this movie yet, do so. We just spoiled a lot of it, but not all of it. It's an experience that I think that is worth your time, and especially if you have a lovely person in your life, watch it together and just sit down, take it slow, and find that love for each other, because I really think that this movie's so good at bringing that out. It's really, really a special thing. Do enjoy, and thank you very much for your time listening to this episode of our podcast. We appreciate it, and we would also appreciate if you could just give us a little rating if you like it. With that said, have a good rest of your day or night or whatever the heck you're doing. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.